Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome to Twisted Tragedy. We follow all the twists and turns wherever they lead. I am your host, Elise. And can everybody hear me okay? Jesse can you guys hear me okay with the mic? I don't have my regular equipment. As you can see, I am not home. I am in New Hampshire. So you guys are on a field trip. You're on a field trip with me today. So I want to make sure everybody can hear me correctly. I had to set up my mic and my headset to be on this, and sometimes that gets a little tricky. So hopefully you guys can hear me good. It's Sunday, everyone. It's Sunday. I hope everybody's had a good weekend thus far. We have court tomorrow morning, and it's going to be a full day as long as the judge doesn't decide she wants to stop 3 hours early and take an hour and a half lunch and a 40-minute morning break. And I mean, it gets very frustrating because it's almost like they're not doing a full 5 hours of court with all the breaks and all the interruptions and the lengthy sidebars and, you know, the huffing and puffing. And we have this issue with the text messages where they not only haven't been authenticated, the one of the buffer. Again, we're field tripping and I am using my laptop and I'm tethering internet from my phone. And so it might not be the 1000% best connection we can get, but it's as good as it's going to get right now. At some point, we might have to switch from laptop to phone. So I'm only, I charge full battery, but this battery dies really, really quick. And I'm not in a place, I'm at a field, not in a place to be able to plug it in. So we're going to do the best that we can with what we got. Hey, Anna. If everybody. So the text thing. So we have the issue with authentication with the text and the fact that the defense sort of tries to undercut the Commonwealth because the Commonwealth didn't call Proctor. So their only option is to call him if the defense wants and then have Hank cross-examine, which is a bad strategy for a defense team, which kind of forces them to do one of two things. Either call Proctor, which is extremely risky for them to do, or try to sneak these people in to authenticate these texts. Problem being is if these people don't remember these texts, then you can't authenticate them. I don't expect the judge to allow them to sit there and question them about texts that they don't even remember. So I don't really know how that's going to go. Now, remember, these people are, summoned, subpoenaed in, like they don't have, an option. They're coming in because they have to. Hey, Francesca, because they have to, right? Not because they want to, but because they have to. And I mean, I guess we'll find out, right? Lucky was there. Guessing they want to call him as a witness, which I think is an awful idea for the defense. But hey, I'm here for it. If that's what they want to do, cool. I'm here for it with my popcorn. No problem. I think he was a horrible witness last time. He would be an even worse witness now, especially with Hank with the cross-examination. So we'll see. It looked like they wanted to get to Kelly Dever and then the other friend of Michael. I have it written down at the house. I apologize. I don't have his name in front of me, but the other gentleman that was there with the voir dire that they did at the end on Friday. And then maybe the other two people, I don't know. But we know Lucky was there. We know Kelly Dever was there. And we know that the judge gave permission for the reciprocal discovery. So that means that when the Commonwealth said, hey, you don't have any text between you and these people, you don't have any electronic communications, emails, cool. We want you to write down your oral communications with this witness. And then that puts the defense in a shitty spot because one of two things can happen. They can lie about what was said. And then if the witness testifies otherwise, that's going to look bad. Or they can be honest and have the witness testify to the same thing, but it might still be bad depending on what the defense said to them, right? Good morning, Scorpio. I mean, it could be a shit show depending on what Alan Jackson decides to do here. I think the Commonwealth has sort of backed them into this corner, which is smart legal strategy to either call Proctor to authenticate his text, but you can't ask someone else about Proctor's state of mind. You would have to ask him. And that was the argument that Hank made, which is they're trying to just bring these people in to undercut having to call Michael Proctor. And of course, the defense's only argument to that was bitching that the Commonwealth didn't call them. Well, I've never seen that doesn't matter. The Commonwealth doesn't have to. It's part of their case. They don't have to call Michael Proctor, and they didn't, which leaves it up to the defense to call them so the Commonwealth can cross-examine. And that would not go so well. I've seen a lot of the grifting channels being like, well, it would be a mistake if they didn't call Michael Proctor. And I'm like, tell us you know nothing about legal strategy or criminal legal strategy as a law tuber, or even someone pretending to be a law tuber or journalist, or to pretend to know anything about court without telling us that you have no friggin' idea what you're talking about. Because to have Michael Proctor under a cross-examination from the Commonwealth would do serious damage to the defense's case, and they know it, which is why they don't want to have to call him, you know? Exactly. Shit on, get off the pot, one or the other. Like, they Commonwealth has sort of backed them into choosing to call Michael Proctor and have it being bad, because they could make him out to be the boogeyman on direct, but on a cross-examination, you know, that boogeyman goes away. That boogeyman goes away. And so the defense knows that, which is why they're mad that the Commonwealth didn't call so they could cross. Now they're in a different position. They can only do a direct. Okay. So that's not good. You know, this is one of the first times I'm hearing her name as well. I am told she used to be Canton PD. She is currently Boston Police Department. I'm not sure in what capacity that she is BPD. And I'm not really sure how relevant she is to this, but we do know that Hank asked for the communications between Kelly Dever and the defense. So at least Hank must think there's a little bit of shady goings and comings going through there. I guess we will find out. That's all we can do is wait to find out. So, you know, that's what we'll do. You know, I think it's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. I'll tell you that much. I think it's going to be quite interesting. I'm going to see how many witnesses we get through. I don't know. Couldn't tell you how many witnesses I get through, because as we know, if you have the Alessi monster doing any sort of directs, he could take forever on a direct. We know he takes forever on crosses, and obviously we're expecting Hank to take a little longer on crosses, as we would, but he's still not anywhere near as long as the defense when it comes to questioning any witness, for that matter. Like, you know, that very well could be that she has some sort of axe to grind with CPD, and that's why she moved to BPD. It makes sense. But I guess we'll find out. You know, I was going to do a Saturday show yesterday, and then something happened, and I had to sort of abandon that idea to go help someone. So, you know, I apologize. I was going to do one last night, and then, you know, basically my conscience said, no, you need to go help someone instead. So that's what I did. And then I came down here after that. So I've been in New Hampshire since. So I won't be home until tonight. So but we will be ready to go in the morning. That's for sure. I'm not going to lie. It's a little difficult trying to like order a pizza or something to a field. All right. There needs to be better options. All right. Because we haven't eaten lunch yet, waiting for the next game. So, and it's been a little chilly out here. I don't know what it's like in Massachusetts right now, but it's a little chilly out here. It was raining last night here. So pray that it gets better, guys, because it's a little chilly. It's a little chilly. The wind, it's not so good out here. But I do think we'll have an interesting day tomorrow. I think we've seen Hank sort of do cross, and at this point, like, we know he's not leaving any stone unturned. Not that he was going to before, but he's definitely not now. Hold on one second, guys. They're asking me if I want anything from Dunkin' Donuts. I'm not a Dunkin' Donuts fan. TB alluded to last night on his show that she did not want to testify. BPD did not want her to, and she was fighting it. Oh, that's the other thing. I know a couple of them probably had attorneys there, because what's the relevance? That's what the court has to decide, is what is the relevance, right? Like, oh, I'm sorry. Listen, I've had a long 24 hours too, so I hear you. I hear you. I'm actually itching to get home. I want to be in my own bed. The hotel bed was meh at best. I woke up a couple times. My back is killing me. Wasn't great. Like, was not great. And obviously, usually when they go as a team and we have to stay overnight somewhere, we share rooms with people so that other people can attend. So, you know, snoring and all that. I did not see that. I wouldn't be shocked. I also think he's setting up for a guilty verdict because I think he knows it's coming. He knows that it's coming. He also keeps making these ridiculous legal takes that don't make any sense. Like, oh, it'd be a mistake for the defense to not call Proctor. And it's like, guy, you clearly have no clue what you're talking about. Not even a little bit. Because if you did, you wouldn't say something so effing ridiculous. Like, and so other lawyers actually had to, like, I saw this morning, sort of call him out on that last night and the day before to be like, bro, the fact that anybody actually listens to, like, his shit and has like believes the legal takes he gives, it makes me a little concerned for society. I'm not gonna lie, because he has no idea what legal strategy should be used and why, because he doesn't understand a word that's happening in the courtroom. And he alluded to that when he says it's boring. Okay, yeah, some of the stuff is boring. It's tech stuff. It's going to be, but it's boring to him because he doesn't understand it. He understands none of it. He takes a couple keywords, sticks them together and says, oh, it's good for us because these keywords. Doesn't understand a word that was said. Doesn't understand that it was very bad for him. The last witness, that first witness for the defense, that did not go well for the defense. That was not good. Not even a little. That guy basically was hired to critique Dr. Welcher and Dr. Shannon Burgess's, like, reports or information. Okay. The defense then argued some ridiculous, nonsensical, oh, well, this expert with Welcher is relying on information from Dr. Scortibello and from Trooper Paul. No, but he has to use some of their information as being the people who were actively involved in the case to get facts. That's how it works. And then the defense has the audacity to put this witness on that they hired solely for the purpose of critiquing someone else's work. Problem with that is this: you can't critique someone else's work unless you know why they did X, Y, and Z. What their train of thought was, what they were looking at, what testing did they do, all of those things. And if you don't know, then you're just assuming. And you never want to assume. One of the big mistakes that witness made was assuming that it was an iPhone to Bluetooth instead of an iPhone to iPhone. So he calculated wrong based on an assumption. And then I heard the cult screaming out, well, he didn't, Dr. Shannon Burgess didn't write it down what it was. Okay, well, if this guy was a real expert, he would have called Dr. Shannon Burgess and said, hey, I'm going over your work. It's part of my job. I just wanted to ask you, what were these numbers from? What was your train of thought when you did X, Y, and Z? Because then the defense witness then had to admit that his work is not correct. It's not right because you assumed. That's what you did. You assumed. So your assuming got you to a number that is incorrect based on your wrong assumption. So that went really bad for the defense because basically they hired someone to go check over someone else's homework, but without all of the information to be able to do that. I mean, usually courts don't even let someone like that testify. It serves no purpose. Otherwise, there would be endless people testifying to critique everyone else's work, right? Literally endless amounts of people critiquing someone else's work. That is what they wanted their dog guy to do, right? Was to critique parts of the investigation, right? Like critique another state and another city's investigative practices and just critique it. Like, that serves no purpose in a legal proceeding. And I think it kind of, let the jury know that if this is one of the best they got, you always start and end with your best, folks. That's how it works. Start and end with the best witnesses you got. Like, because you want to put that sort of power kick in to make the jury listen. And then again, that, until it bursts and the jury remembers it. And that didn't happen with the defense's first witness, not even by a freaking long shot. And that's half the problem that they had, unfortunately, is that they didn't prove much of anything other than this guy didn't do what he should have done to get the correct calculation. Like, yep, when you assume, you make an ass out of you. There's a reason why that saying exists. Never assume. Never. Like, we get turned away from FKR to Rita. We do know that she's there. She's just not as prevalent as she was before in all of it, to the science of the defense. The defense doesn't have science. That's the problem. Now, I pointed out on X, and I don't, hi, the good Karen. Yes, that's the good Karen. I don't post on X a lot. Okay. But I posted yesterday to remind people of this simple thing. And of course, the cult jumped on. I'm like, do not even post on X. So here you come, wasting your finger push-ups to sound like fools anyway. Here's a few facts. The defense is not arguing that Karen Reed was not the one driving that car. The defense is not arguing that that car with Karen in it didn't back up at almost 24 miles an hour. The defense is not arguing someone else was driving that car. They're not disputing that it backed up at a high rate of speed. They're not disputing Karen was the one behind the wheel. Why do you think that is, folks? Because they can't. The data shows it in black and white. They can't dispute it. There's nothing to dispute. So it's like, if the defense is not disputing that someone else wasn't driving that car and that it backed up at a high rate of speed, they're not even disputing that John's phone stops moving forever seconds later. It's like, if that doesn't tell FKR all they need to know, I really don't know what else possibly could have. Like, the 3 seconds is how long it takes the infotainment system to start up after you push the button to start the vehicle. So it's like, the guy argued like, well, it might have been in that Lexus, but, if you bought another Lexus, it might be different. It's like, that's what you're going with? That's, buddy, they have Karen's Lexus, and then they had an exemplar, which is one they bought that's the exact same as Karen's. So it's like, do they need to test 17 Lexuses? No, they had enough information to know, like, well, that's exactly what he was hired to do, Tara, which was find any probable way to make it look like Burgess did something wrong, calculated wrong, or was wrong in some way. They didn't do that. They didn't show that. And as a matter of fact, the guy had to admit that his work was wrong, not calculated correctly. Even though he didn't want to admit it, he had to, right? And so, I mean, I think the guy's a nice enough guy. I felt bad for him. I was kind of like, damn, like, this poor guy had no idea what he was getting into when he was hired by the defense in this. Like, he really did not know, like, because, he was elusive in some of the questioning, but ultimately, has to answer it. And so, hey, Red Racer, it's just, if this is the best they have, they got a big problem on their hands. They have Lucky coming back. That tells me that they are desperate. And if they have Lucky coming back, then there's probably a real good chance that Richard Green and Dr. Russell come back. The Rusquatch, the Russell hustle. I think we'll see the entire Russell hustle. Hey, Abby. Like, I think that's definitely, gonna be there. And that's going to be a comedy day. So everybody make sure you take your bathroom breaks, pee yourself when they bring up the Russell hustle. Because, they did say it would take like a week and a half or 2 weeks this time. Last time their trial, they said would take a week and a half, and it was 3 days. They don't have many more witnesses than they had last time. They have a few, but not many more. So, I mean, we'll see. But I think with Dr. Russell, it would take a while. I think with ARCA, we know it's going to take a while. It's going to be robust when it comes to Hank. He's going to do a lot of cross-examination when it comes to ARCA. A lot. And the same with Dr. Russell. I think Rich Green would be quicker just because he really doesn't have much of anything other than debunked nonsense and data that he relied on that he read incorrectly. So, and I loved how the witness on Friday, the defense witness, had to admit, like, and it made him look bad too when Hank was like, so you weren't impressed with what Shannon Burgess found with the SIM card. And he was like, well, I don't know if I'd call it impressed. Surprised. I didn't know what to do with. Anyone working in that field would have been pretty impressed that he was able to draw out the information that nobody else knew it was there. No one else knew it was there. Like, Welcher was brilliant. And the best part of Dr. Welcher is we're going to see him again as a rebuttal witness. So we're going to get even more of Dr. Welcher. So there are some rebuttal witnesses. We have yet to see the ring expert. I'm wondering if that's going to be a rebuttal witness as well. But we do know there are a few rebuttal witnesses for the Commonwealth. And I'm excited to see those people as well. So yeah, they did. They cheapskated him. And it did make him look stupid, you know? Do me a favor, for all of those of you just popping in right now, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you'd like to donate to the channel. We very well appreciate it. We're just teeny tiny. We're growing slowly. And so we could always use the help, and you can do so one of a billion different ways. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal are the best ways. And then we do have our monetization back. So you can get a membership now, or a super chat, or a super sticker if you prefer. And we always appreciate the help. Dr. Welcher was so brilliant, in my opinion, as well. He was, precise, and we heard it all. It was easy to understand, which is key when you're talking to a jury. If you lose the jury in technical terms of things that they don't understand, then they're not going to grasp any of what you're telling them. But if you keep it simple, if you use good analogies where people can I loved the one where Dr. Welcher was talking about the weight distribution, right? If you sit on the side of the bed, it sinks in. But if you lay across the bed, it distributes your weight and doesn't sink in as much, right? Like, that was a great analogy to use for the jury for them to understand weight distribution, right? The defense was looking for any part of that car that would work for their theory. Now, here's the problem. We haven't heard much of the theory with the dog at this point, okay? And I wonder how they're going to integrate the dog. We haven't heard much, right? So if you're still going with the theory of he was bit by a dog that has no bottom jaw, upside down, around in a circle, how do you integrate that into all the data that's already been explored, or do you abandon ship on that one? I don't think they can abandon ship on that one because that's been their theory, right? They have Garrett Wing and Marie Russell, and I feel like they don't really have a choice but to bring them both in at this point. So I just know that's going to go real, real bad for the defense. Very, very, very bad. If I'm the jury right this very minute, I'm voting guilty. There's no doubt in my mind. Now, I think the thing that people get mixed up is that murder 2 doesn't require intent in the state of Massachusetts. In some states, it requires intent. In some states, it even requires like premeditation. It does not require that in the state of Massachusetts. It requires that a reasonable person would have known that just DUIing doesn't even have to be that it was at night or backing up at a high rate of speed or during the time it was snowing. Just DUIing alone, a reasonable person would have known could cause death. That's all it requires. It's called mens rea. There's no intent that's required. There's no premeditation that's required to get to a murder 2 charge. And so I do think that if I'm a jury member, I could easily vote guilty on the murder 2 right now, and then leaving the scene And the DUI, I mean, she's already admitted to leaving the scene and the DUI. So it's like 2 out of 3, if I'm the jury, are already guilty no matter what. It really leaves it up to whether the jury agrees that it could be manslaughter or murder too. And I think even with manslaughter, like say the jury decides like, okay, we don't think murder too, but we're going to go with like manslaughter. Well, that's still a hefty amount of time, you know? See, if you understood it, right? It's not that you don't have a lot of intelligence if you didn't understand him either. Don't make that mistake that if you didn't understand it, you're not intelligent. That's not it at all. Like, if you throw a subject that someone's never talked about before at them, you probably aren't going to follow most of it. But Dr. Welcher made it easy for people who have never talked about it to follow it. If you didn't follow it, it doesn't make you stupid or not intelligent. It definitely, like, it's just a subject you haven't talked to. But my problem turns into when people listen to it, pretend that they understood it, and make ridiculous statements like we have with the ridiculous, law tubers and sewer turtle, when they make ridiculous statements pretending like they knew what was going on. Most people will be like, yeah, that went over my head. I have no idea what they were talking about. And that's okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like talking to me about skateboards. I don't know anything about skateboards or skateboarding. No friggin' idea. I'd have to look into it. I'd have to, gain some knowledge, educate myself. But I wouldn't have any idea what you're talking about. Like, none at all. For the defense, oh yeah, Dr. Welcher, that was the one thing that I really loved about Dr. Welcher was that with Alessi, he was like calling out Alessi's like compound questions, changing the question, and then not letting him answer it. And we've seen witnesses sort of say to Alessi, like, what? Your question? We've seen a bunch of witnesses, and that's another thing. If you think the jury isn't going to notice that more than one witness said to Alessi, I don't understand what you're saying. That question doesn't make sense, right? A bunch of different witnesses have said that to him. Like, that doesn't make sense. What he's saying I can't answer it because it doesn't make sense. Like, they're going to notice that. And it starts to feel like to them that you're trying to trick the witnesses or trying to change what you want them to say based on the defense's theory, right? I don't think it's going well for the defense. It's going very, very bad. Well, that's another thing. This whole, free Karen, she's free. She's been free at the Seaport Hotel. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing not free about her. Like, let's make that clear, He's smart. He's very smart. It's why Aperture is one of the best top companies that you can call for this kind of expert opinion. And then we had the guy that wanted to check Dr. Burgess's work. This is only his second time testifying ever. I think once he testified as an accident reconstructionist. So, I mean, it's amazing to me. Like, yeah, Andy spoke directly to the jury, which I loved, which I absolutely loved. Like, I do think there's no doubt in my mind that we'll get a conviction. It just comes down to all or one or two. In my eyes, the two of them have been, all three have been proven, but two were proven a while back. Those were done. Now it's up to the jury, in my eyes, to decide whether it's manslaughter or murder too. It's the only thing I think that they would grapple with is manslaughter versus murder too. And even if they decide on manslaughter, I mean, she's 44, I think. She'd be doing pretty much the rest of her life in prison. Pretty much. And I think for John's family, friends, witnesses, people who have been dealing with this case for years now, everyone's ready to see some justice. There's no doubt about that. None at all. Right? People need to be held accountable for their actions. And the shit that has been done to people because they don't believe the same thing. They don't believe Karen's innocent because there's, a million pieces of evidence to prove otherwise. But the things that have been done to people, the harassment, the endless amounts of harassment is wrong. It doesn't matter what you believe or don't believe. That kind of behavior is gross. Like, that's not what grown adults act like. That's like high school, middle school bullying behavior. Like, it's not normal. They did it very well. They explained it very well. And I think that's going to be the key, is what does the jury remember? What sticks out in their head? And like, after the defense does their thing, I always think to myself, what is a point that they made that sticks out in my head? Because that's what the jury's going to remember. Anything that stuck out to you is what's going to stick out to them. And I have yet to come up with anything that has stuck out other than Alessi playing semantics with words. What does this word mean versus what do you think this word means? Other than playing semantics for an hour, I can't think of a single point that they actually made that's going to stick with that jury at all. Not even a little bit. Like, that's the bottom line, unfortunately. Like, oh, abso-friggin-lutely. I mean, we're talking about someone who runs to the cops when someone calls him a mean name, you know? They called me a mean name. They're on a public sidewalk outside my house. Please come help me, even though I say all police are corrupt and I do the same thing. Please help, please. Like, come on, man. Biggest hypocrite I've ever come across in my life. Like, he was very relatable, very down to earth. I loved that about Dr. Welcher and Dr. Burgess, you know? That's it. It's adult bullying. Like, do better, you know? That's the thing. I've heard that. Multiple people have emailed me and said, hey, I went back and watched a lot of that. And I intended on playing some of it today. Maybe we'll play it a little bit in the morning. But I'm not home and I'm in New Hampshire, so I can't. But I intended on playing some of it again today to go over like the points that were made that were really good, you know? Well, I've been saying that for quite some time, Francesca. Like, they're on the teetering of RICO behavior. And I mean, if you go to just him alone, like that girl Lisa that they keep harassing, it's for what? You're harassing the girl because he talked to her while he was dating someone else. It's like, so that makes it okay to harass her? No. What did she do? Nothing. Like, what? Like, that makes no sense. Stop harassing people. Get an actual life. Do something that's constructive. Help someone. You want to harass a woman for no reason? Like, I don't condone that from anyone. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. That kind of behavior is unacceptable. And everybody, and I don't care, again, what side of the fence you're on, but everybody should be saying, I want nothing to do with people doing that kind of stuff. It's not okay. It is just not okay. Pollock said last trial, I believe they were hesitant to pin it on the girl. This time they've seen the real girl and how she doesn't give a shit about anything but herself. And that's another thing that Yannetti, started screaming from the rooftops. The jury wasn't in the room. But it was more for the cult, obviously, and their talking points, which was pin it on the girl. That was never said. Yannetti is the only one that has ever said it. Proctor never said anything about pin it on the girl. No one has said that other than the defense and their ridiculous interpretations of what people actually say versus what they want it to say. And so I thought the judge really should have stopped him at the moment and said, Mr. Yannetti, that is not the quote. Let's not throw misinformation out there. That is not the quote. That is not what was said. I do think that Alessi, he's definitely preparing that exit strategy, Ian, 100%. I am with you on that, my friend. 100%. He's starting to talk like, well, if she's found guilty, it's just some big miscarriage of justice. Like, he already knows it's coming. And so he's trying to sort of back out slowly, but without damage. So what he's got to do is he's got to toe the line of still saying that she's innocent. Then when she gets found guilty, make this huge deal out of the fact that this is a miscarriage of justice. She needs appeals. She needs our help. The whole shebang. Like, because that's the only thing he can do at this point. He can't actually admit that he knows that she's guilty. Couldn't do that, right? Couldn't do that. You'd be destroyed. He's destroyed one way or another. When evidence comes out in this case, he's screwed one way or another. So I don't really know what he's waiting for at this point. Maybe just to get a couple more dollars and cents is what I'm guessing. But hey. Well, there's 18 jury members, but there's only going to be 12 deliberating. So hopefully if there is, they're not a deliberating jury. And I think the jury's going to be able to sniff someone out like that pretty easily if there's people on there who are not like that. So make no mistake that if they slip up, like, you're going to be told on. That's what's going to happen. Like, so yeah, that was definitely showing the magnitude of John's injuries, and also that he could have been saved, right? Because, you know, he went over, the brain surgeon, Dr. Isaac Wolf, and his name's Isaac with an A, went over like the things that could have been done to save John's life. And that was really hard to listen to, knowing that he was laying there dying by himself and that he could have been saved. Had she just called 911, you know? Yeah, I mean, stand behind John and pout, like acting like a fool, like an absolute fool. Like, who does that? Who does that? Like, with what's hands? I'm confused. I'm not sure what you mean, Carolyn. The case is unprecedented for the harassment so many people have, yeah, and still are subjected to daily. That's the kicker, is they don't stop. They just think it's okay to continue on harassing innocent people who have done nothing but have a different opinion. It's so absurd to me. It's insane. Like, cool, I don't agree with all my friends on everything. Why would you? You're never going to agree 100% with everybody on everything. Does that mean that we should be harassing each other and calling each other's jobs and acting a fool? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Oh yeah, every day, all day. I deal with it on a daily basis, Jolly. Whether it's text messages, phone calls, emails, DMs, and all sorts of other crazy stuff I can tell you about. It's daily. Daily since 2023. Like, that's how we have dealing with some of these people. Like, I think absolutely would turn in a heartbeat if they offered him a good enough deal. I think it'd have to be a really good deal for him to do that, right? Like, I don't think he'd do it for like 2 years off his sentence. I think he would do it if they gave him like a hefty deal. I think he'd do it in a fucking heartbeat. I think he'd throw, you know, all of his family members under the bus if he had to, for any given thing, you know? It pisses me off when they say it too, Abby, because no one said that. That's not something anyone has said. Like, yeah, like they said, look the other way. No one ever said that. No one. Hey, Frank. No one ever said that. So it's like, you know, I'm blurry. I might be blurry. I'm not home. So I told you guys it's not going to be perfect audio or video today. And it's not going to be a long show either, because I'm looking, you know, at the battery level we got going on here, and I'm at like 34%. So we'll go as long as we can. We've been here about 40 minutes already, but we'll go as long as we can. But it might be a little blurry today, for sure. For sure. Alessi running the defense this time, and it obvious Karen was actually running the show. That's the other thing. You have to remember the jury watching that. The jury see her running that show and what she's doing when it comes to her attorney, calling them over, distracting them, throwing them off. Like, the jury can see all of it. And that's not going to be a good look at all for her. I mean, we knew that her like facial expressions and all that wouldn't be good in the first trial, but it's definitely not going to be good this trial with all the things that she's done, along with the facial expressions and the attitude. Like, that's not going to bode well for a jury when it comes to how they judge you. And juries are judging, and they're not supposed to obviously base it on your, you know, the way you act or the things you say or your facial expressions, but they are watching. And it's like, if you know they're watching and you know they're looking, like, why would you continue doing it? This constant need to be on devices while you're the defendant, like, that's not going to look good by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, he did throw like a big fit. Like, Alessi had like a whole fit about hands. Nobody said anything about hands. Like, Joan said, I also think Karen Reed's statement of he didn't look mortally wounded certainly implies she saw John after she hit him and left him. That statement is extremely incriminating. It is. And remember, she's fighting against herself. Yeah, he'd do it for no jail time. There's about 0% chance that they give him no jail time. That's done. That's never going to happen. At this point, TB cannot get a deal without going to jail. Exactly. Thank you. There's no deal they're going to give him with no jail time. There's too many victims, too much damage. There's no chance he's not going to get any jail time. None. They wouldn't even offer him such a thing. Do I think the jury being younger has anything to do with it? I mean, maybe, possibly. I also think maybe the fact that they have 50% men on the jury this time might have something to do with it as well. Guess we'll find out, right? Like, if we get a verdict, they usually do poll the jury. So let's see, right? Let's find out. Yeah, shame on you. You know, that's Jackson says the most ridiculous, nonsensical things. And I'm like, he promised a whole lot to the jury in his opening statements. And those are things he is not going to be able to deliver. You know, she's fighting against herself. Hi, Dr. Russell. It is almost time for your genius level to shine, you know? Sunglasses. You better, you know, get those meatball subs, Dr. Russell. You can't go to court without your meatball sub. Can't do it. You know, we need to hear the Russell hustle, you know, on full effect, full energy. So you need those meatball subs. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's the problem. And I want everybody to know that the BBO has to investigate them. And Yannetti's license, they could be suspended for up to a year for not having, like, usually it's like a 1-year suspension, like not automatically, but like usually that's like the penalty for not having candor to the court without actually pulling your entire license. And he's the one who's practicing here in Mass. So there's a very real possibility that he could lose his law license for a year or longer, you know, for not having candor to the court. So maybe he just doesn't care at this point. I mean, he's been very like sitting in the background, and I think it was a huge mistake to put Alessi up to all of it. You know, I think it was a huge mistake to let Alessi run most of this trial the way they did. But the center of the defense, it's not going to look good because the jury's going to say, why do you need 5 lawyers if you're the one running the show? Why didn't you just represent yourself? That's what they're going to be thinking is, why have this many lawyers if you could have just represented yourself? And the only conclusion that you leave them to have is that you're a freaking control freak that cannot even allow your attorneys to do their own job. And that is not going to go well. You know? Me too, Francesca. Me too. Oh, the suits, right? Are you going to wear a pink suit, Dr. Russell? That's what we would like to know. Like, that she meant in the morning when Oh, how did he not look? Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think she knew. You know, you don't back up at 24 miles an hour by accident, or if you don't know. That right there, like 23 point whatever miles per hour, like almost 24 miles an hour, you gun it in reverse. Nobody does that without knowing they're doing it. That's on purpose. That's not an accident. That's not, I didn't know. You gunned it in reverse. You could be drunk. Cool. But you knew. Whether you were drunk or not is irrelevant. You knew. You don't back up at that high rate of speed by accident or by not knowing. There's just no chance that anybody would convince me otherwise, because it doesn't make logical sense, right? Logic's here, people. You don't back up at that high rate of speed by accident. Like, also, remember, she pulled forward before she backed up. And that is to suggest that she pulled forward and was sort of aiming at John. Like, so, yeah, that's the other thing, you know? Like, they allowed it. They allowed it, you know? And if something does happen to their law licenses, they can blame nobody but themselves and him, you know? Ooh, a pink pantsuit? Oh, shoot. Don't drop any meatball sub on that pink pantsuit, Dr. Russell. That would be a no-go, you know? No-go. Well, I don't agree with that theory, because you don't back up at that high rate of speed, you know, by accident. You certainly don't do that by accident. It's one thing to be impartial. It's another to know common sense wise what could have or could not have happened. There's no way she didn't know if she's backing up that fast. There's just no chance. Who knows? It could be both. It could be both. If somebody wants to send me the clip that everybody's referring to, I would greatly appreciate it, since I've been in New Hampshire since, you know, yesterday evening. And so I haven't seen it. But I would love to. If somebody could email me that clip, I would very well appreciate it. twistedtragedies3@gmail.com. It does sound lovely, right? It sounds lovely. We've been here 47 minutes and 14 seconds. I am a little bit under 30% battery, so we're going to keep going until I'm almost dead on the battery. But I would very well appreciate it if you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you can donate to the channel, we would very well appreciate it. That's how we survive, is by donations from our amazing viewers. We do have monetization back, so you can get a membership or a super chat or a super thanks or a super sticker if you prefer, or one of these ways: Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. We have Revolut for those of you who are out of country. And then we have a link for those of you who just want to use credit or debit. Let's see. I'm trying to get to all the comments here, guys. Yeah, the call at 5 in the morning. Yep. That one. Like, how would you, you're expecting to find him on the side of the road? That was a really weird statement to make. And that's why I say she's literally fighting against her own comments that she made that are being played for the court. And that's going to be a really hard thing to get over unless she gets on the stand, which I don't think she's going to do. But it was a brilliant move by Hank because it kind of forces her to either get on the stand or explain it or let it speak for itself. You know, let it speak for itself. It is very incriminating, Joan. Like, going directly to him. And it's funny because her attorneys repeated that she went like right to him. And it's like, do you think that makes her look good? No one else could see him, but she did. No one else. That's because she knew where he was. Oh, she can't? Oh, that stinks. For the first time, I believe Canoni is done with the defense team. They pulled that trick with the aperture cross, showing Jackson instructed them to hold the report until the 25th. Yeah, that was bad. Like, that shows the judge that they're still playing fast and loose after she, told them where to go and how to get there, and that's not good. Like, Pamela said she saw a diagram on X, and it showed Karen would have drove right past where John was laying. That's not good for her. That's just not good. Is it too late for Karen Reed to ask for a plea deal? No. She could take a plea deal if offered or asked up until the jury's done deliberating. So she could get one. She could plea out right this very second. Do I think that she ever would? Absolutely not. And again, a plea deal would have to be offered. So the Commonwealth would have to be okay with giving her some sort of plea deal. And I just don't think they are at this point. I don't think that they would offer her one. And even if they did offer her one, because she asked for it, I'm not sure she would still even take it, even if she asked for it. But she can take one all the way up until the end. It would stop everything once she took it, though, and she would have to admit to facts of the case in order to get that plea deal. So we don't know. They obviously are forced to go in there. They're not doing it of their own free will. The defense is calling them. They don't have a choice. They're there. She did say they might need him back first thing in the morning. And that to me was a hint that she would allow it. But he then didn't remember the text. So what do you need him for if he can't authenticate it, right? Because he doesn't remember them. He can't speak for someone else. That's hearsay. So what would you need him for exactly? So to me, it's like, unless they have something else that they could question the man on, I don't see how they would use him again, to be honest. But again, there's probably plenty that we don't know, so there's all we can do is try to find out tomorrow morning and see what's going on. And obviously, as I get more information, I'll bring to you guys, whatever I get as fast as I get it. My theory is that John had dumped her, then got out of the car. She started to speed off, then in a rage reversed at him, aggressively intending to play chicken, and she knew. It's a real possibility. I mean, there's so many possibilities of why she did it. We don't know the point of impact, so we don't know exactly on the road where he was hit. But we do know that no normal person backs up at that high rate of speed. That's not normal. It's common sense. You know what I mean? I don't think... See, there's the thing. I don't think they can. If you want, she said she had to do more research on it, right? So what she's going to do is she's going to look for case law supporting or not supporting this exact thing. And I'll tell you off the top of my head, there's case law supporting the opposite of what the defense wants, which is if you want to ask that person their state of mind, you want to ask that person about their text, you need to call that person. So it might force the defense to call Proctor. Will the judge allow the friends to testify to certain things? Possibly. But what are they going to testify to if they don't remember the texts? if they can't authenticate them, there's not much that they can testify to. That's the problem that I have with that. Unless, like I said, there's some other information that they're going to question them on that I know nothing about or that we know nothing about. That's a very real possibility, you know? Let's see. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to make sure I get to all you guys' comments. Francesca is agreeing with Pamela, saying going that way was the only route that fits into the 36 miles odometer reading window. That's how I disproved the Cedar Crest route. Yep. And that's the way that you prove or disprove things, is the data, the actual data. You know what I mean? I think she wants to do more research and give her ruling tomorrow morning on the text with that witness. I think so as well, but I think it's a shame if you have to call these people to come back because they'll be there and then tell them they have to leave. You know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, we don't need you anymore. Like, that would be shitty. Like, but again, usually if it's not docketed by 4:30, then it does not get onto the docket until the next business day. Hi, Laura. Hey, Grave. Grave says the defense should know by now that Hank will uncover their shenanigans and bust their asses. And that's realistically what it boils down to, is he is busting their behinds. Hey, Joan, thank you for being a member. I appreciate you. Joan is now a member. That's actually our first anything of the stream, which is Joan being a new member. So thank you, Joan. We appreciate it. Francesca said, if she was a juror, you're remembering that reverse when I'm driving 25 miles per hour. It's very fast reverse. You know, that's the thing. It wasn't by accident. You can't accidentally reverse in, you know what I mean, at that high rate of speed. That's just, there's no way. If I'm a juror, I know that that's not an accident. Just like the Shakira hips don't lie, data doesn't either. Exactly. Exactly. To make Proctor's childhood friends read his text live on camera shows how low the defense will go. I think Bev will deny it and say, call Proctor. That's what realistically should happen. But as we know with this judge, she still likes to throw a bone to the defense in some way if they're asking or not asking for something. So I do think that, you know, maybe she'll allow something. I mean, I hope not, but hey, you never know. You know what I mean? Oh, Laura, congratulations. Francesca gifted a membership and you got it. Thank you, Francesca. We appreciate that so very, very much. If you guys would like to donate to the channel, there are a bunch of different ways you can do so. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. It's on the screen. It's also on the ticker below that scrolls across the screen the entire time we're live so that nobody has to stop and say, hey, where's that information? It is there on the bottom of the screen. And we do have our super chats and our super stickers and memberships and all that stuff back. So appreciate you, Francesca. Thank you. I think what it boils down to is who gives the best information that matches what happened, right? And the defense's theory of a dog and a fight inside, which they have now brought to outside, just doesn't work with any of the data. There's zero evidence that that occurred. As a matter of fact, there's more evidence that it never occurred, right? Not even a little bit. So, I mean, hey, Ian sends $50. Thank you, Ian, on PayPal. I appreciate you very, very much. That really helps the channel out. Thank you so much. Just trying to make sure I don't miss nothing else from anyone else. My phone is sort of over here and it's doing our internet. So I'm trying to like not mess with it too much. Uh-oh. We might have to switch to my phone, folks, because we are on low battery. Let's see. What does it say? 13%. We'll go a couple more minutes. Otherwise, it's going to die on me. She denied something. I don't know if it was the text. She allowed the reciprocal discovery. That last clip is pretty bad for her. You know, it is pretty bad. I'll tell you that much. It is pretty bad. Thank you, Francesca. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It definitely helps, whether it's long term or short term. It is definitely all a help for sure. What about Yannetti commenting and basically violating the gag order? That's another thing. There's a gag order. He's not supposed to be commenting on anything. So I'm not sure that he won't get yelled at if he's making public comments, because again, there's still a gag order in effect here for everyone other than Karen herself. Like, yeah, I got to check the docket too. I haven't had a chance. Obviously, I've been in New Hampshire, so I haven't had a chance to like check the docket, look at some other things that, you know, are on there. I apologize that I haven't had a chance to do that. I'm actually going to attempt to switch to my phone right now before the computer dies. So give me 1 second, guys. Thank you, MYB. All right, guys, make sure you can hear me. I want to make sure everybody can hear me, but I can now sort of get out of the car and get some fresh air here. I want to make sure everyone can hear me and that it's not echoing. So I shut the laptop and now I'm outside. You're probably not going to be able to see me much, so I might as well. Yeah, you're probably not going to be able to see much. And it definitely gives me a second to look at the comments, so I apologize if it takes me a sec to look at them. Yeah, no, she doesn't rule after 5. There's nothing that comes in after 5. Usually, very rarely will we see something on like a weekend, but usually if it's not docketed by 4:30, we're not going to see it. So usually that doesn't happen. What did TBG do? Well, I think people were leaning towards like, you know, he was giving kind of a ready to flip vibe. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't comment on it until I've actually seen it, but that is what I am being told. So I'm not really sure. I'm going to have to obviously take a look at it before today's over. Ventriloquist, yeah, right? Yeah, the video clip. I haven't seen it. I'm definitely going to take a look at it after I'm done here with you guys and see. I'm also going to attempt to deliver a pizza to this field because I know I'm hungry and some guys probably are hungry too. I don't know how that's going to work out, but we're still going to attempt it nonetheless. These guys have worked hard. They've played a lot of games. They played in the rain all day yesterday. So we got to feed them. You know, I got to feed them. Oh, Kate posted the clip. Interesting. So I'm going to have to check it out. Ooh, rhubarb pie. That actually sounds good. And I've never had it, but I have heard that it is delicious. That's for sure. Well, folks, is there anything else you guys want to go over before? It should be on X. Are you on our Discord? I can put it in our Discord, Ian, for everyone to look at. If you're in our, I'm not sure if you're in there or not yet. But if you're in the Discord, we can pop it in there for you, for everyone, so that they can see it. Defense motion for directed verdict. Yeah, that was denied. We saw that. And then the motion for reciprocal discovery was allowed. Yeah, so as far as I know, the text message thing hadn't been ruled on yet. Yeah, I kid you not, deliver to a field. Yeah, I mean, a field still has the address. Still has an address. You know, the DoorDash better be up to it. Better be up to it, that's for sure. Not in Discord. All right, well, we have a Discord link for those of you who are not. Maybe Jesse can get it for you guys to join the Discord, because that's where we put a lot of the information that's on X that people aren't on. We'll put the links or the pictures or the whatever documents that are on there that we see, or any interesting information. We put it in our Discord. The link won't pop up in the chat, Joan. It'll only pop up if you're a mod or me. Otherwise, that you can see it, but no one else in the chat will be able to see it if you try to post it in there. I got to fix that. I did it originally to keep out the trolls from posting, links and stuff in my chat. But now that we don't really deal with them much, I can't, no, because my computer, I could have done it when my computer was still alive, but I knew it was just about to die. That's why I switched to the phone. Unfortunately, StreamYard does not have an app yet, so it doesn't allow for me to be able to show something on a screen or share a screen from the phone yet. I wish that was an option. It's on X. Grant posted it. I spoke with Grant yesterday. So, yeah, I mean, we'll definitely put it in our Discord. If you're not in our Discord, it's definitely a good place to find information if you're not on like Twitter, because Twitter can be a cesspool, and if you're not on it, I suggest you don't go on it. It definitely can be a detriment to people's mental health. There are just some really awful people there from the cult, and they're just do constantly awful shit. I try not to even bother except checking my messages and posting here or there. But that's why we take that information that we get and we post it in the Discord for you guys to get, because it's easier for it all to be in one area for you guys. And you guys do a great job of posting stuff in there all the time anyway, stuff that I don't even catch, which I appreciate. There's a cow in the field. Cow tipping? Talking about cow tipping potluck? 22 minutes ago. How would you be flipped now the Commonwealth rested? Well, I mean, rebuttal, yes, but if there's like new information, like brand new information, there is a way to introduce it. If it's serious information into a trial, there has to be a motion that's made, and more than likely it's, you know, not usually allowed depending on what the information is and how serious it is, because it's already, you know, in the middle of trial. But you can move to introduce a new witness, you know, blah, blah, blah. Do I think that will happen in this case? Probably not. But what he could do is say, I have information on the conspiracy to intimidate witnesses, and they could charge her with that as well, like as a new charge. And he could ask for a deal based on lowering his amount of time or cutting off those charges in regard to his testimony against her on a conspiracy to witness intimidate charge. Yeah, the Buffalo on the Prairie comment really made me upset. That was a really shitty thing to say, you know? Yeah, he would never, see, that's the thing, he would never get a plea deal with no jail time. That's not even in the realm of possibility for him. I know he wishes and he prays and he's definitely freaking out, but that's not even an option. In order to get a plea with no jail time at all, like, you'd have to have a lot of really good information that's really going to screw someone, like, that they want, that the government wants. If the government doesn't want your information, right, and you're saying, hey, I'll take a plea for no jail time, and you're facing 15 plus felonies, and that person might already be found guilty on the ones that they're being charged with, there's no chance they want your information. You know what I mean? Like, what, they don't think your information is going to be that important to give you no jail time, especially for all the damage. What precedent does that set? They also have to look at what are the optics of that, right? And I'll tell you, they do care a lot about optics around here for whatever reason. And so what are the optics of giving someone a plea deal and letting them out with no jail time for destroying numerous lives of completely innocent people simply because he feels like it? Doesn't set a good precedent. And so I just don't think that there's a chance in hell that happens. I know he's probably wishing, and but I don't think that's ever going to happen. Yeah, Nevercracker posts a lot of good stuff. We do post some of that stuff in the Discord as well. We read it sometimes. So yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of that. Haven't checked in the last day other than what we read yesterday, Friday. But, you know, there is a lot of good stuff. They would be able to re-indict her, but they could already do that right now without him. They don't need him. They have a ton of evidence to do that already. So that's where I'm like, meh, they don't really even need him for that. There's no reason that they would need him for that at this point, you know? Yeah, that would mean testifying against her, Avi. That's exactly what it would mean. There's no restraining order, but the court has a stay away order in effect. But the ones
for, well, at least the court cases involved, like the witness intimidation charges that involve Buchanan and Proctor were dropped, but the court still has a stay away order from all of those people. So basically, if they testify, he can't be at the court and he can't be near them. That's it's not a restraining order. It's just a order from the court, basically, if that makes sense to you. Oh, my phone's freezing. Hold on a second, guys. I'm trying to get the comments. Damn it. Hold on. Gosh dang it. Why is it frozen? It's not showing me the comments. That's the problem I'm having. Hold on. Go back and forth between this toggling this. Something made it freeze with my comments and I want them up. Thank you for your super sticker. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much. I'm trying to get it up on the screen, but I think I'm failing miserably. That might be what froze it for a second. I am failing miserably. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, ignore that thing that just popped into the thing, guys. I appreciate it. He is shaking in his boots. You can definitely tell. Yeah, I doubt they will give him no jail time. That just does not ever seem like a possibility that they would give him. I know he wishes and he prays, but that's not an option for him. He admits guilt if he uses the word plea. I mean, yes and no. You're allowed to hypothetically talk about plea, but you are basically, at least to the public, admitting that there's something that you know that you could use for a plea, you know? Stick it to a cartel lead, maybe. LOL. Well, potluck, maybe. Oh, yeah, it's karma, Joan. You are 100% right on that. You know? Well, that's the problem, obvious. I don't think the Commonwealth wants him to fully get away with it either. That's basically saying we're going to allow someone like that to get away with the things that they did, to really harm people. And I don't think that that's something the Commonwealth wants. Our Aperture are scheduled to rebut ARCA. Yes, they are. And that's why I said we're going to hear more from Dr. Welcher, specifically on the rebuttal to ARCA. So we're going to see him again. Grant posted 22 minutes ago on X about TB and plea with no prison. Yeah, he wishes. You know, that's the thing, is he's wishing and hoping and praying. Yeah, I agree with you, Scorpio. Under the jail would be nice, you know, like lock him up, throw away the key, put him in the basement, and call it a day, you know? Yeah, you don't go on X if you don't have to, Anna. It's not a place I want you guys to be. You know, it's one of those places that is just a cesspool of nonsensical nonsense. And thank you again, Eva. I appreciate your super sticker, my friend. They tried to indict her already. They did, and they got no true bill. But remember, they can always try again. And I think the problem with what they did the first time around is that they did not wait enough time to gain enough evidence at that. They kind of just went for it without all the evidence. And then after they got the no true bill, they got way more evidence to prove that that happened. So now, and you can have more than one bite at the apple. So after you have more evidence, you absolutely can go after it again. And I think they're sort of keeping it in their back pocket, to be honest with you. That's my idea on it. I think they're using it, you know, as like a way to say, hey, if she doesn't get charged with this, we could very well charge her with that. Like that's what I think. Yeah, Hank did get both phones, but remember, she tried to brick one of her phones. She locked the cops out for a good like 20 minutes or so, and like tried to master reset and brick the entire phone, and did get rid of some stuff. So, you know, there very well could have been some really bad stuff there that she got rid of. Joan said, I look at TV's rants on YouTube, signed in as a guest. Yeah, I don't blame you. I can't even look at it. I just get the clips and stuff, because to me, in the first 5 minutes of his show, he's just lying. So it's like, I can't even stomach to listen to someone who lies that much. I can't do it. I cannot. And it doesn't just apply to him. It applies to many other creators, many that have jumped on this train. I can't, and I don't condone it. So that's my way of saying I refuse to give it clicks. I refuse to give it views. If people want to send me clips, I will totally look at them for sure to make sure that I'm up to date on the information. But I refuse to give him or anyone else, and it doesn't matter what side they're on. If you're doing things to people that's bullying, and you're doing things to people like lying about them to sort of get away with your own shady business, then I want nothing to do with you. And I don't care what side of this case you're on. Either or. Like, I don't condone that behavior. It hurts people. Misinformation hurts people. Like, and people realize that, you know? There's what they can do. Get her kicked on count 2, and then once in prison, they keep her there by adding more charges. They could do that too. And I do think that the Sue Turtle might be a little nervous because he knows very well that there are many other, and I say many because many is the truth, many other crimes he has committed in the last 2 years and continues to commit, even as of recently, all right, that he knows that he's done. And if I were him, I would be extremely nervous with the fact that at any point they could charge him and indict him on those. They have the evidence. So either they're waiting because they're not going to charge him, or they're waiting because they are. One or the other. He knows he's in a lot of trouble, and he knows there's a lot of charges they could add to him. Wiretapping, blackmail, criminal harassment, cyber stalking, which is a federal crime. And the list goes on, and not just one count of each, by the way. Numerous counts of each with evidence has been turned over. So, I mean, hey. And for those victims, I hope that they get justice, because nobody should have to deal with that. Oh, could you imagine? Now imagine you're a jury member, right? When it comes to his trial, listening and watching, because make no mistake, they're going to play some of the stuff that he says. Listening and watching to the stuff that he says and thinking, oh yeah, that guy's definitely innocent. Like, there's no chance in hell, which is why I suspect that he asks for a trial. I mean, a judge trial, not a jury trial. And I think that's a huge mistake if he does that, because I have no doubt that a judge will find him guilty. He'd be better off with the option of one of those jurors not thinking he's guilty than he is a judge. So, but I think I'm leaning towards him picking a judge trial and not a jury trial, because he thinks the judges over there are favorable to the First Amendment. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know. It's a very real possibility that he takes, instead of a jury trial, a judge trial. They keep asking him, and he keeps saying that, hey, I don't know, I have to decide. I have all the way up until the day of trial to decide. So it's like, okay, cool. You can wait all the way until the day of trial. But make no mistake, in my opinion, no matter whether he goes for a jury trial or a judge trial, he's going to be found guilty. He's not a likable person. So remember, that's not his regular trial, Sarah Lynn. The one that's on the 9th, I believe it is not for the whole kit and caboodle. That one's just for the violation of the restraining order. Remember, he has numerous different things going on legally. So it's the one that's coming up is not for all of the stuff. It's just for the violation of the restraining order. They have like a mini trial for that. And that is what is the one that's coming up. Oh, she's definitely toast, in my opinion. That's exactly what. Oh, aperture. 100% potluck. I can answer that. Aperture. I mean, I think anybody here would prefer aperture. She might face more charges. I think Hank always holds something in his back pocket. He would be smart too. Oh, you have no idea, Ian. I am so ready for her to be testifying in that civil trial. Those depositions are going to be freaking wonderful. And remember, in a civil trial, there is less evidence needed to say this person is guilty civilly and has to pay out. And there's no doubt that she will not win that civil suit. Yeah, a backup plan, if you will. Exactly, Francesca. Exactly. You are a person of principle like me and many others in here. Well, that's the thing, is can't everybody just have a little bit of, moral compass, just a smidgen? Like, oh yes, lots of mozzarella sticks. I'm totally in on that. Mozzarella sticks and breadsticks. I am in on that. I would love that. We're going to have a cookout when that happens. Listen, when you feel like you're going to that place, you come back and you find us. You find one of us. You go in the Discord and say, guys, I'm struggling with these idiots over here. Right? And someone's always there to help out, for sure. Yeah, I can't wait to see Aperture. Can't they use all the clips from his show? Yeah, of course they can. Of course they can, Joan. That's what's going to sink his ship, too, is he can't shut the F up, just like Karen can't. They can use those clips, those videos, until the cows come home, Well, that's the thing, right? Potluck is that the places they're prepared to go knowing it's complete rubbish, that's going to damage their reputation. And criminals might say oh, these guys are willing to do anything. But that's going to catch up with them when it comes to their licenses. That's not a good thing. Francesca, I think a lot of us kind of felt that way after the hung jury. It was oh, we have to do this again. Again, again. But you have to have faith, sometimes things just do get under our skin, Potluck, and it's probably because we know it's misinformation. We know that it's a lie, and yet people keep repeating it after they've been told it's a lie. But because he told them it was true, they believe it all. That's half the problem. She does want to be like OJ, except as we all know, OJ was guilty as hell. Whether he was found guilty in a court of law is a totally different thing, but he was guilty as hell. We all know this, Hey, Roller Skate, how are you? I have faith Lally and team are on those social media to make sure no FKR and jury. Now, remember, I agree with you, and I think that if you guys go and you think about it, think about last trial. Think about how many of the jurors were already excused by this point in the last trial. We have not seen that in this trial. And that's a good sign to me that they haven't been dismissed. That is what really gets me. Thank you, Joan. I appreciate that. Well, that's the point, right? I mean, why have a channel if you're not going to have your viewers be involved, right? I just don't understand why more creators don't. I get it. So you're spending a lot of time on it, but don't you care about what your viewers want to talk about? Isn't that the whole point? Yeah, stick to what you're, on YouTube for, but within that realm, you have people who are watching you that have all sorts of different life experiences, right? Some really intelligent, smart people that have all sorts of different information on different things. I'm a person who loves to suck up knowledge. So anything I can learn from someone else, I'm happy to do it. And if you ignore your audience, you kind of are ignoring all the really intelligent, smart tidbits that they give you. Things that you might not see, they see and point out, which I love. And I love that everybody contributes to the community. That's one of my favorite parts of doing my show, is knowing that everybody has each other's back. If someone didn't hear from me for more than 24 hours, they would know something was wrong, right? They would know, especially people who talk to me on a daily basis. They would know, oh, wait, she's not answering. I always answer for everybody. Even if it takes me a little while to do it, I always answer. So, I love that we're always making sure that everyone is okay. No one needs help and everyone's safe, and, making sure that, as a community, we don't just stand up for what's right, but we have each other's backs when someone needs help as well. Because I've been doing volunteer advocacy for 18 years. Something I'm really good at is helping other people. Not so great when it comes to helping myself, because it's really hard to ask for help for yourself. But I'm very good at helping other people. It's something that always brings me joy. And I encourage other people to do the same. Whether it's the old lady who's walking into the, post office who needs a hand, right? And you just stick your arm out and you walk them up. Right? There was a lady who was 97 years old that I walked up the stairs and back down when she was done at the Whitman post office one day. And she said in her 97 years, nobody had ever offered to help her. And I could tell she was struggling because she was, walking very, very slow and very, very careful. And she was elderly. You know, like it takes, would that spend maybe a couple minutes of my time? And I had a really nice conversation with a really nice lady that I would not have met otherwise. Like, it doesn't cost you any money just to be a good person or do something nice for someone, guys. It just doesn't, you know, like we can all do that and make the world a better place, because I have kids. I don't want my kids living in a world where everything's shitty and everybody's out for themselves and no one thinks about anyone else. Like, cause that's where we're at in society, is everybody's out for themselves. And I get it. You know, money makes the world go round and everybody needs it to survive. I understand the concept, but at the same time, if we leave people behind that we care about, or even people that we don't know, what kind of mark do we leave on this earth when we die? We just only were out for ourselves, never thought about anybody else. And when we did, we kind of would like, oh, F it, screw it. Like, I got to worry about myself. Like, yeah, of course we have to worry about ourselves and our families, but we should also be looking out for our neighbors, our friends, our loved ones, people we don't even know, for that matter. Like, that should be a part of everyday life, and it isn't. And it's kind of sad, unfortunately. Thank you, Roller Skate. I appreciate your $19.99 donation. Says, my Sunday just got better listening. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Oh, they're extremely desperate. We know this, Scorpio. We know this. Very desperate. Very, very desperate. It's unfortunate. That's where they're at. Yeah, that it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed for them, Amber. That first witness was not good for them. Not. Thank you, Eva. Oh, yes. I've talked to the retired judge. He's a very nice gentleman. And he's not putting up with the shenanigans anymore either. You know, he is very aware of what's going on, and he's very unhappy. You know? Yeah, that saddens me. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand it to a point where when you're a much larger channel, the chat goes by really, really fast. But we have the option to stop it. Like, not stop it on your end. Yours will keep going, right? We don't have the option to stop it all the way. We have the option to slow it down, to have people comment less when it's going that fast, like once every 60 seconds or something. But we have the option on our end to stop it. And even if every creator took out like a half an hour to highlight like every comment for like a half an hour, like it would still do something going towards like people realizing that like when they're here to watch your show and they're here to engage too, not just with the chat, but with the person that they're watching, because they enjoy the show. And so it's like, why not integrate your audience into that show? They want to be a part of it too. That's why they're here, right? Like, not everybody obviously wants to be on camera or be up on the panel, but people want to be part of the conversation. I mean, I even want to be, like, if I'm watching another channel, I want to be part of the conversation. And sometimes I'm like, God damn it, I missed it live. So then you're not really a part of it unless you go and comment, right? But everybody has like valid points to bring up, and one of us are never going to catch everything. Like, you guys catch things I don't, and vice versa. Like, so I honestly feel like it's an important part of running a YouTube show is to make sure that like you integrate your audience into that show, especially if you're doing live streams. I get it if you're not doing live streams, doing long form videos that are just already recorded and edited. Like, yeah, I get that. But if you're doing live streams, there's no reason that you shouldn't be, you know? You know, I wish I could make people want to do it more, Francesca. I think half the problem with it is there's this thing that creators do where they don't engage with their audience and they wait until the people who they really want to have their comments put up on screen say the same thing numerous times. And they won't highlight it until that person sends a super chat or a super sticker or a donation. I believe it's slimy. I don't like it. So I don't employ those tactics. My channel suffers because I don't employ certain tactics because I think they're sneaky. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that it's, wrong. I'm not saying that it's, YouTube makes it extremely hard for smaller creators to grow because they take the same amount of cut they take from me that they take from larger creators. And it's just a bigger dent, out of what people who are smaller get because they don't get so much. So, I get it. I get why certain tactics are used, and it's to, boost your channel and to make sure your revenue is coming in so you can run it. I get it. I understand the concept. But there's certain things that I refuse to do. And if that means that eventually my channel can't run anymore, then so be it. But I have lines and limits as a person. And those are one of the ones that I have, which is not ignoring people's comments until they super chat or super sticker. I will highlight comments whether you super chat or super sticker or not. Not everybody can afford to do that. That's, the people who can, I appreciate you. But also the people who share and the people who like and the people who take their time after the live is over and comment on the video, knowing that it'll make the algorithm realize that people are engaged with the video when they comment after. Like, that helps too. Like, every little bit helps, and everybody can help in their own way. Like, not everybody can help monetarily. So ignoring people until they do, it's not something that I'm willing to do. Yeah, Hank is a great attorney, Amber. Anybody would be smart to hire him. It is a real judge, yes. It's not a parody account. It's actually a retired judge from here. He's a retired judge from here in Mass. He's a real judge. Oh yes, the Diary of a Wimpy Sewer Turtle. Yeah, I have a chapter 2 coming. Don't you worry. Don't worry. I got chapter 2 coming on that one. Some people took it the wrong way, where it was like making fun. I'm not making fun of anybody, not with a speech impediment. It's not what I'm like. That's not. It had nothing to do with that. It's more like a little kid when they're little and they're first learning how to like talk. Like that's more what it emulates. It's like just a little kid, because that's what he is as a child. He has no brain cells of an adult. Like, thank you, Joan. He doesn't really have any case to argue, Sarah. There's video evidence of it. So it's not slam dunk like for him. He can argue he didn't know, but that doesn't go over well because you have to know. You have an order against you. You have to know where you can be and where you can't be. So, I mean, you never know if you ask for a jury what they're going to find. But I mean, there's evidence that he was hiding in the bushes, taking pictures, following her down. So, I mean, it doesn't look good for him. That's for sure. Right? Being kind costs no money, guys. Oh, thank you, Paul. Like, I appreciate that. Yes, it costs nothing. Nothing to be a good person and just be kind. Nothing. Yeah, no, he is real. He's the judge is very much real. Yeah, exactly. But not afraid to tell someone when they're overstepping your boundaries, Like, everybody should have lines, right? Like, boundaries that they have. And if somebody crosses those boundaries, personal boundaries, personal space, like, you'd have to tell them, these are my boundaries, and I would appreciate it if you would follow my boundaries, Like, sometimes sometimes people will say, oh, I'm out of here, I'm not watching anymore because I said a certain thing. And it's like, I can't control what people agree with or don't agree with. But what you won't ever get from me is me saying something that I know isn't true just to say it. I refuse. I don't care if that means that my channel stays small. I don't, then so be it. Then so be it. It is what it is. Yeah, I mean, Hank's Cross did make DeSoger look like he was definitely part of the Commonwealth case. For sure. Yep. It was a very good cross. And I mean, we all knew, I knew, and I told you guys at the very beginning of all of this, watch Hank. Watch him when he lawyers, because he's a freaking brilliant lawyer. Yeah, he does, and he is a retired judge, Casey. So he is very real, and he is very much a retired judge from here in Massachusetts, and he's a very nice gentleman. Yeah, they only answer the super chats. Thank you, Eva. Well, I mean, I think that's what sets apart, right? Like, it's my unique way of saying thank you to everyone, because, like I said, not everybody can donate. And so, like, everyone should be thanked for being here in general. Like, my mods do a fantastic job, and they work hard, and especially dealing with trolls and stuff. Like, they do a great job, and you guys do a great job. And, everyone should feel like they're part of the conversation. That's what I made the channel for, right? Like, was to have these conversations and to talk about these cases, whether it's missing person cases, like my friend Mickey, who went missing, who still has not been found, like, or older cases that we need to shed some light on to hopefully get more information to get it solved, or ongoing cases where there are just shit happening that we need to cover. Like, no matter what kind of thing it is, how do you get it done if you don't do it as a community, right? I can't do it alone. Absolutely not. I don't do this alone. You guys help. So why would you ignore the people that are helping you create this community? Doesn't really make sense to me, but hey. Well, I'm glad that you feel heard here, and I hope that everybody else does too. I try my best to highlight every comment. I know, I realize that that's not always realistic. Sometimes I got to skip them, get to the bottom, you know, but at least you guys know that I'm hitting on multiple of your comments. We're talking about things. I see them, and I do, after the show is over, go back. I can't right now because I'm not home, and once I close my computer, I can't read them again until it takes like 2 hours for the live chat to load. But when I'm home, I leave my computer open. And so after the show, I go back and I read all the comments. If I scrolled and I like missed a bunch, I go back and I read them all of them. Like Riccio, yeah. It was really sad, the shit he said about him. It was not nice. Sick of the playground pylons. Yeah, nobody wants that, you know? Or people you wouldn't talk to in real life. Ah, yes, Smitty Lee. I am going to actually ask his office if he will give an interview with us after this is over, if he's willing to, because I would really love to pick his brain. I would really love to pick his brain. I think he's brilliant. And, you know, that brilliant head, I mean, whatever he can tell us. Of course, he doesn't have to answer anything he doesn't want to or talk about anything he doesn't want to, like, but I would love to hear from him, like, anything he wants to tell us, you know? Butterfingers. Bob's not getting any Snickers this week. You know, no Snickers for you, Bob. No Snickers. Oh, thank you, Roller Skate. I appreciate that. We only got a taste of Hank during the voir dire. Who else has a giant bag of popcorn for this week? Ooh, I do. Me. Yeah, Dr. Russell's going to be the best. We know that because we know it's like pure gold. Hilarious. Especially on this stream. The best one-liners and comments come from you guys, and you guys literally have me almost myself laughing, and I appreciate you guys for that, because even I come here to, like, if I'm having a bad day, I might not always share everything that personally happens in my life, but if I'm having a bad day, like, you guys always make it better. Always. Like, just coming here and being like, as a community, like, you always make it better. Listen, you're always welcome. Any of you are always welcome on my panel. I'm also not one of those creators that goes, oh, you don't have 100,000 subscribers, so you can't give me subscribers, so you can't come on my channel. Like, I refuse to do that. I don't care if a channel has 1 subscriber, no subscribers, or 1 million. Anybody is more than welcome who isn't a troll, I should prerequisite it with that, to come on to my panel and talk about this stuff. I'm more than happy to send links to people who want to come on and talk about it. 100%. You're always welcome. I thought about that, Insider Man, but I feel like they have to call Russell. You know? I know it's only going to be bad for her, but I feel like they have to. They are fighting tanks with rocks. Ian, you are 100% right. Francesca, you are 100% right. Hank is surgical and strategic. And Gennady has known for a long time Hank was formidable because they've practiced in the same areas. He knows that Hank's a good attorney. They probably crapped themselves when they realized he was going to be the special prosecutor. I kid you not. I kid you not. Arca will be one of the best crosses. I agree with you, Scorpio. It will be. Like, exactly. Friday was just a taste. Smitty Lee's right. Friday was just a taste of what Hank's capable of, especially with some of these other witnesses that have lied and that are being elusive. It's going to be bad for them. You know? Bad. Very, very bad. Very, very bad. Like, oh, the potato cannon, yeah. I loved that. I loved that Judge Lou did that. I was like, you go, Your Honor. You go. You know? Like, he also said he would not be complicit in this BS. Like, TB actually sent him a message, and he immediately blocked him. Like, why are you sending the judge a message? Are you, like, first of all, he's a retired judge. That would stand to reason he knows other judges, right? So I don't think it would be smart by any stretch of the imagination to try to bully or harass or send your mob after a retired judge from this state. Like, come on now. Like, that's not smart. Come on. Like, that, you know, seriously. Oh, that was a great question, Amber. I loved that one. He was like, have you a Signal app? I don't like how the judge, though, he said, in your professional capacity, would there be any reason for you to use the Signal app? And then the judge sustained the objection, so he didn't answer it. But we know what the answer to that would have been. No. No. You would not do that. Like, they have to make some attempt at defense, so clutching at any straws. Well, as we've been over, we know that they're not even just clutching at straws. They're doing like silly straw level loop-de-loops of mental gymnastics to try to feed the cult any given talking point they can. Because at this point, the loop-de-loops they're doing in front of the jury isn't helping them with the jury. It's really that simple, right? So the loop-de-loops are really just for the cult at this point. But you're doing silly straw level loop-de-loops to do that kind of mental gymnastics it takes to convince anyone that all of this evidence against Karen is just crap. She's the only one who didn't lie. I mean, make it make sense. Make it make sense. That's not a thing, right? Like, it's not a thing. I do think that we probably will, Francesca, see from Hank him asking about the potato cannon. And I think we'll see him, like, pull out that, because if you guys remember, we have the talking points from the cult where they still to this day will say things like, well, it's a polycarbonate taillight, it can't break. And it's like, did you pay attention? And they'll claim that they watched the first trial. Well, if you watched the first trial, you know that Arca fired a glass with the potato cannon at the tail light and it obliterated it. So you want to tell us again how it can't be broken and how it's polycarbonate? Because Arca is the one that proved that it could be with just a glass. So want to try that again? Do you? Like, I mean, that's half their problem, Scorpio. That's half their problem, you know? That is half their freaking problem, is they're doing too much listening to Karen and not telling her to, like, sit down and slow their roll. Like, if I was their attorney, and I'm not an attorney, but if I had been an attorney, there's zero chance that I wouldn't have already said, listen, if you keep interjecting like that, then I can't represent you anymore. I can't effectively represent you. I'm the attorney. I went to law school. Please let me do my job. Like, and I would have had this conversation with her a couple times before I, eventually bowed out. And you haven't seen the attorneys do that, like, and I do think he will bring all the shady stuff Jackson's done, but it's going to be on all the attorneys, not just Jackson. Leslie, it's on Yannetti, it's on the entire team, because they work as a team, not just Jackson. So they cannot use these issues. And the judge said to them, like, and that's what they were trying to do, is basically say, like, we had no idea what Mr. Jackson did. Like, that was Mr. Jackson. Like, nope, you are a defense team. And that's what the judge had to explain again, which is when one of you does it, all of you does it. Like, that's how it works. Sorry, not sorry. That's the law under which you're practicing, Lindsay's good. She can still use all the help with her legal defense fund that we can give her. It is pinned to the top of my X account. Talked to her yesterday. She's okay. I mean, still dealing with the constant harassment of the cults, which is, something that, again, no one should have to deal with. But she's okay. That's the one thing, Eva, is people don't realize that if we don't get her the help she needs to take on this civil suit of him trying to quiet her, then he'll just keep suing people to quiet them if he is successful in this. And that's what people don't realize. If he's successful in this one, he'll keep doing it. If he is unsuccessful in this, because he thinks he can run her out of money because she doesn't have money, she's a single mother of 4, and he has said this, that his goal is to just run her out of money with, constant court hearings. Like, that costs money. That costs a lot of freaking money that she does not have. And she really does need that help, you guys. So, I mean, if anybody has the extra to spare, I would ask that you, stick it in her legal fundraiser. I know she'd appreciate it. Yeah, I feel like had they arrested Jane, they probably would do better than having these ridiculous witnesses that they have going now, because as of right now, their first witness is a bust. Basically helped the Commonwealth, did not help them. And so I can only imagine, especially with Arca Green and Marie Russell, and you can even add Gara Wing into that, that's all going to go very bad. And then you have Lucky. Why would you ever, in a million years, I will never understand. That is literally, in my opinion, a like ineffective counsel to call him back. Like, that's what? Why the hell would you call him back? Discord is a different app. It's not X, Emma. It's a completely different app. It's called Discord. It also has online. You can use it online or you can use it in app. I say the app is a lot easier. But either way, it's an app for the channel. So the channel has its own like channel, basically. It's every like Discord has like a channel, and then there are channels of channels. So we have a Twisted Tragedy channel on Discord, if that makes sense. Yeah, she interrupted him more than once, Joan. She interrupted Alessi a couple times, Yannetti, Jackson, and it's like, again, the jury watched that. You know? The jury watched it. Find who? What do you think about the stare down between Hank and Cameron? Yeah, that's the second one, right? Yes, we appreciate that, Eva. I know Lindsay really appreciates it when someone does, you know? Lucky gonna flip to a Commonwealth witness. Well, I mean, this is why I think it's really bad, okay? Like, really, really bad, all right? Is Lucky has nothing to give the defense other than conflicting stories. He's given 4 different versions of what he says occurred and at what time. So your witness is not credible. Why would you bring back a witness that isn't credible, that we have the testimony from the first trial, and we even have a video debunking his testimony from the first trial about what time he went up the street? Because we literally have a video of his Franken truck, as he calls it, his plow truck, going up the side street that's off Fairview at a completely different time, right when the cops were there, rather than when he says. So I understand, as the defense, why. Through me, my friend, through me. That's how, through me. It's on my ex, her legal fund is pinned to my ex, but I can also just send it to you in like an email later on. But I mean, that doesn't seem like it's smart to me. Not even a little bit. Hold on one second, guys. Like you said, the stare down was in TV trial when Karen Reed's team busted into one, right? But she just did another one recently. So that's stare down number 2. And it's like, you know, to me, it's like she seems to forget, not that she forgets, because she knows, right, that the jury is watching her. They're staring at her. They're watching her. They're seeing everything she's doing, every facial expression, every rocking in her chair, every snide look on her face, every smirk, smile. And I'd even go as far as to say, like, the cringy looks on her face when she thinks she's winning, when it's going really bad for her. Like, that's how deluded she is at this point. Even that, like, all the jury watches all of it. They watch all of it. They see it all. So you have to be mindful when you're a defendant in any sort of case that you at the defense table as a defendant, like, you have 12 or 16 or 18 people, 12 of which will be your jury, right? Watching your every movement, every time you rock in the chair, every time you pick up a pen, every time you smile, every time you shake your head, roll your eyes, flip your hair, put your hand on your head, like, all of it. It's all being judged by a jury of your peers. It's not smart to do the stuff she does. And every good attorney preps their clients for how they should dress in court, what they should look like in court, and what emotions to show or not show in court. And most of the time they tell you to remain emotionless, actually. And, you know, a lot of people will critique like, oh, well, the defendant has no remorse and they're not crying. But the attorneys actually tell you not to. Not that, here's the thing, if you're really emotional, right, and you're really sorry or you're really sad, no amount of somebody telling you not to is actually going to stop you from crying, right? And so I think that's what people expect to see. If you're that upset and you're that sad, no amount of an attorney telling you to remain emotionless is actually going to stop you from those tears coming. It's just not, you know, not even a little bit. Did she do it during a trial or motion? I'd have to go back and look. I'm not really sure. if it was during the trial with the jury there or during a motion. But I mean, even the ones that she makes during the trial are like, dude, the jury's right there. Like, they're right there. Right? Me too. I'd have to be sedated to not be reactive as well, Anna. Like, oh, you know, same shit, different toilet freak. She does act like a child. And I agree with Dougie. I think she's done. Like, the pantsuits. Yeah, they're real expensive pantsuits too, paid for by, you know, FKR donations. Like, so she didn't do it in front of the jury? Yeah. You did. You missed it. She often shakes her head. You know, that's something that she does a lot. A lot of the time, she shakes her head. Lisa said, I think what's most important is the jury is seeing how much she doesn't care that John is dead. And I agree with you. They are seeing it. Defense doing a good job of hissing her little AJ than her, but she walks to sidebars. And yeah, the jury watches that too. You know? Grant posted a short video capturing it. It was during the argument about the new witness / text messages. Interesting. Stopped talking, stared back at her. Yeah, Hank is not like, he's like, oh, I want to play that game? Cool, let's play chicken. I'll stare at you. Like, cool. Like, Hank stopped talking mid-sentence during her second caught on camera with guard watching her. Of course. And now you have to remember, now there's a CO stationed right next to Mr. Reed because he can't behave himself enough to not make faces at the jury or shoot, like, you know, winks at the jury or stare down the jury. So now they put a court officer right next to him because he couldn't behave himself. You know? Oh, yeah, the finger. She's done that more than once, too. Last trial, she did it as well. Yep, she sure freaking did. If you guys wouldn't mind, there's over 200 of you watching currently. If you're on X, come join our community over here on YouTube. You can be in the live chat. I actually was told this morning, and someone's going to send me the link, I guess, but there was a video someone made on TikTok where they said that they watch my channel and they love my channel, and I don't know whose TikTok it was. But whoever's TikTok it was, I appreciate you, and I thank you very much for that. If you can donate to the channel, it's more than helpful. The like button is helpful. Sharing the video is helpful. We have a bunch of different ways you can support the channel. Donations can be done Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Revolut for those of you who are out of country. And we have a link for those of you who just want to do credit or debit. And then, of course, we have basic ways of super chats and super stickers and memberships, which always help out in the long run as well. You know, we survive basically on our support that we get from our viewers, and we very much appreciate the support that we do get from you guys. Yeah, well, that's what she thinks she is, Anna, as a celebrity. Like, yeah, I did. I watched Court TV cover that, her doing the finger, Joan. Yeah, I think that's the other reason, MYB, is because they might be calling lucky because Karen's making them. But it's like, you're the attorney. You need to say, like, hey, this would not be good for us, Karen. So if you choose to do this, like, we're going to have to we have to talk to the judge and say you're doing it against your lawyer's advice. And, you know, because at that point, you're liable, sort of, in a way. Like, if she wants to come and civilly sue you later for, you know, ineffective counsel, gross negligence, that's a whole nother realm of possibility. Like, you have certain protections as an attorney, but there are certain things that if you do, they're like so blatantly obvious that it was just a terrible idea to everyone and everyone involved, that there are some legal ramifications that could pop up. Most of the time it's too risky to say like what the intent was. So nothing usually happens, but in this case, it's so blatantly obvious that that would be a bad witness to call. Why would you call it unless your client is forcing you to? Like the interviews, for example, no good attorney is going to tell you to do those interviews. That was a horrible idea, especially when you don't know the outcome of the first trial. Doing a victory lap in the ID discovery was a huge mistake. Karen is her own goddamn now, you know? Hank stops talking because he's like, you got something to say? Like, that's the look he has on his face, which is, I'm sorry, do you have something you need to say? You know what I mean? He's like re-challenging her with her nonsense. Like, you know, like, it's so funny to me that she thinks that he cares. Like, oh yeah, Henry on Twitter. It's like, bro, what do you want him to do? Act like she's not trying to stare him down? Like, come on now. Like, stop that nonsense. Like, it's nonsensical. Like, It is nonsensical. So funny. I'm still mad she was allowed to call in sick to, yeah, you know, that still gets me. Any judge that would allow a defendant in a murder trial to call in sick. Just throw that out there. I don't know any, none, zero judges that are going to say, oh, the defendant isn't feeling well today. Are they hospitalized? That's usually the question I have. Unless they're in the hospital, unconscious, where they cannot come to court physically. You cannot call in sick to your own murder trial to get a day off of rest during your murder trial. You don't get that. You were charged with a murder. Like, does the family get an effing day off? Do the people who have been harassed since 2023, like myself, do we get a day off? Do we just call in, say, hey, harassers, we're going to call in sick today? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that was a really bad look for the judge. I think, once again, it invites more people to do these same shenanigans in her courtroom over and over and over without her doing a goddamn thing about it. And I honestly think that if she cannot be a judge and not worry about every tiny little thing being appealed, and remember, the Commonwealth can't appeal stuff. There's very little things that the Commonwealth actually can appeal. So that's why she doesn't worry about denying the Commonwealth, because they can't really appeal shit. The defense can, but the Commonwealth can't. But if you're like that worried about ruling based on appeal, that tells me that you don't belong being a judge. Because even if somebody appealed your ruling one, what does that do? Yeah, it creates like a thing on your record saying something that you did was appealed. It doesn't kick you off of being a judge. It doesn't stop your pay. It doesn't have any real consequences other than your, quote, record as a judge saying one thing was appealed, which is really a big fat nothing. So if that's the way that you're going to rule as a judge, you should probably not, you have no business being a judge, in my opinion. Like, once again, just my opinion, but you don't let the defendant call in sick to their murder trial unless they're literally hospitalized. And even in that case, I've seen people like Lindsay Clancy, who was paralyzed from the waist down, be arraigned in her bed at the hospital on a screen to court. Like, you know what I mean? Like, ridiculous. Yeah, and exactly. And she was completely fine the next day. Clearly, she was not sick. She was just tired, right? Alan Jackson showing up in a hoodie that day. He wasn't even dressed for, all the other attorneys came dressed for court. Except Jackson, he comes in a hoodie? Like, what? I mean, come on. Oh, yeah, she definitely did the finger intentionally. That's common sense. When she realized that it was going to be caught on camera, that's when she went and, like, itched her eye. Because she realized, like, oh, shit, people are going to see this, and I need to, a culpability way out of not, you know, showing that I did it on purpose. And that's when she decided she was going to, like, use it to itch her eye. Like, like, come on. No, yeah, you can't put links in here. It doesn't let you unless you're a mod or that was to stop the cult from, like, sticking ridiculous links into my chat like they used to. Yeah, they do still roll defendants in wheelchairs. I've never seen anything like it, Amber. It's crazy. Like, yeah, the second time she did a stare down, like, she has no control over her behavior. Like, none at all. Karen gave the finger on the side of her face when Yuri Buchanan was testifying. Hank does have cojones, but I expected that out of him. You know, if he writes a book, I'll buy it. If he writes a book, I will buy it. That's for sure. 100% I will. Circus is the word for sure. Like, I would not be surprised if her attorneys not to do the documentary and she did it anyway. Yeah, I mean, if they told her not to and she did it anyway, like, that's such a bad look. Like, so stupid. Actually, I have new equipment, Holly Molly. I'm just not home. So I'm not actively using that equipment. I am out. I'm in a different state. So I can't actively pack up all the equipment in my home and bring it with me. So I do not need new equipment. I have new equipment. I'm just not home. Yeah, I've seen the defendants in the hospital on Zoom as well. Like, in their hospital beds. Yeah. 100%. She does what she wants. Like, I can't from my phone. I can't do it from my phone. Maybe one of the other mods can. Because I can't leave the screen I'm on because, like I said, StreamYard doesn't have an app. So if I leave the thing I'm on, it just ends the stream. So but I can put it in the Discord. If somebody else, one of the mods have it, they can put it in the chat. Hollywood Jackson, right? Jackson woke up whether he knew she was hungover. That must have been what it is. You know what I mean? Like, clearly it's speculation, but like, she was drinking the night before and so was he, but magically you call in sick? It's weird. Like, oh, I forgot about the under the chin one. Francesca, you're right. Yes, I took you guys on a road trip. We're on a field trip today. We are on a field trip today. I have plenty of equipment that works just fine at home. We've been an hour, 57 minutes. It's about 2 hours about what I was going to do anyway. I'm going to probably end it. I need to order some pizzas to the field because I'm starving like a hostage. And I know the guys are probably starving like a hostage. And we need to get some drinks too. Some Gatorades and some sodas. So I am going to let you guys go. Of course, we will be back at 8:30 tomorrow morning for our regular show for court. Get pumped up, my friends, because it's going to be a spectacular day. I think that cross-examination is going to be funsies, right? So do me a favor on you guys' way out. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you didn't already. Definitely share the video. When you guys see each other and you guys are on social media and stuff, maybe mention like, hey, hey, I've seen you other places. Maybe we can meet up next time on Twisted Tragedies chat, let people know we exist, right? Keep the butt dials to a minimum, right? Yeah. And get your popcorn out. Everybody make sure you get your popcorn ready, but everybody have, an amazing Sunday. Try to woosah until tomorrow morning. If you donate when I'm not live anymore, I will read it in the morning as always. I love you guys' stinking faces, and I will see you guys at 8:30 in the morning tomorrow. Bye.